Hi, FlossTube Stitchers, and hello, October. How is it October? Of course, I think I said that in June and July and August and September as well, but does anyone else feel like this year is just flying by? So today's October 1st, and I'm standing in my store just stitching on a Sunday evening where it's nice and quiet around me, and I can get my thoughts together and not have any interruptions or loud noises from neighboring businesses. I wanted to start off today's video with a little stitchy kindness or handmade kindness from my very sweet customer Irene. Yesterday, she brought me this crocheted pumpkin. And I may have subconsciously picked my shirt for today's video. I may have been thinking about this even though I didn't take it home with me because I'm just noticing that it matches perfectly. But I told her I love my pumpkins. I have a lot of pumpkins and just a few jack-o'-lanterns in my collection. And a lot of the jack-o'-lanterns are made in such a way that you can just turn them backwards and still use them for the rest of the fall. So I just can't wait to find a place for this among my pumpkin displays at home. So thanks again, Irene. Then I have a new shop model from one of my finishes. This is Bent Creek's Autumn in their zipper line, and it's part of a Four Seasons collection. And while I was stitching it, I may have mentioned to you on a previous video that I was a little disappointed that it wasn't looking square like the picture, and I'm glad that I had not pre-ordered a frame for it because the orientation of the fabric just created a slight rectangle instead of a square. But my framer decided to leave a little bit more space around the design, and it doesn't bother me at all unless I look at the original picture. But this is one of the original 18 count kits. Now they had to move to 20 because 18 was discontinued. But so this is the original 18. And I guess it's just not guaranteed to be perfectly even. So if you were doing the Four Seasons or any other series that you wanted to keep out at the same time or pop in and out of the same frame, you would probably want to make a couple stitches in the framing allowance of the fabric just to make sure that the stitches do look square or that the fabric's going, in the right direction. If I had stitched it with the fabric going in a different orientation, it might have been rectangular in a horizontal manner instead of a vertical manner, but I don't know. Anyway, that's just me being picky. I made a few changes, which I don't remember right now, but one of them was doing the pumpkin in a Classic Colorworks variegated or hand-dyed number 5 pearl cotton. And the other change I made at the last minute was I decided to use a ceramic Mill Hill acorn instead of the Just Another Button Company because this seemed sturdier, and since it's going on top of thicker fiber, and plus the fact that the buttons are being discontinued. So I went in my stash and I found that I had a couple of these acorns. So I decided to use that and save the thinner Fimo clay button for another project. So anyway, I'm very happy with this. It would have been a vintage stitch had I stitched it when I first got the kit, but instead it's more of a recent stitch. Then I think I already showed you this one in a previous video, but I have 2 more from the Primrose Cottage Stitches series that have come back from the framer, so I thought I'd show them to you again. This is Be Happy, and for this whole B series, I'm using the original color palette, but I'm choosing different fabrics. And so far, all of the frames have a touch of charcoal in some way, so I think the whole collection will be nice and coordinated because of that. The next one that came back, but I went through my notes and I really don't think I showed this. I think I was waiting for the third one to come back. This is Bumblebee Kisses, and it's not a frame I would have gone for, but my framer pulled it out and I'm like, oh my gosh, that totally works. It's a little shiny for me, but I like it that it's thicker and it can stand up on a shelf by itself and not have to be hung, although I did have the screw eyes and wire put on the back, so I would have multiple ways of displaying it, but I kind of like a chunky frame. But then we put the charcoal. It's a little bit of a metallic look, but it kind of has the look of a variegated thread almost. So I really was pleased with that one. And then this one, I think all the frames came from 3 different companies. So I think that's why this one didn't come back right away. And I just noticed there's a little bit of sticky putty on the corner. But this is Kind Words. And this one was done on Aida with 2 strands. The Bumblebee Kisses was 2 strands, I think, on a 28 or 30. And then the first one I showed you was 1 strand. But again, the color palette is the same, and so I think they're just going to look great together. Okay, those were the new models. Again, I got a couple more, but I'm going to save those in case I don't have something one week, and that was enough for now. Okay, then my whips. So if you follow me on Facebook and Instagram, you saw this on Wednesday for my Whip Wednesday. I actually started Quirky Quaker Jack-O-Lantern to reward myself for the few finishes that I got done last week. Let's see, where's my little tag? Seraphim Fabrics, and this is 32 count Belfast in the color Tobias. And in the picture, I showed it on this, which is a piece of scrapbook paper. And my plans are to use the scrapbook paper instead of a mat in the frame. So I'm going to get a frame that's a little bit bigger than this design. This is going to be under 3 inches. And I'm thinking of getting maybe like a 7-inch frame. I'll have to try out a couple possibilities. And then have this in the background to show. And then, you know, obviously finish this smaller and maybe put some, you know, rickrack or pom-pom or something like that around it. So I auditioned 4 or 5 hand-dyed oranges, and in my light at home, this was the winner. And the other thing I just wanted to point out is that because of the jack-o'-lantern face, I was afraid that it would look too busy if it ended up being striped the way the thread came out. So I didn't pick a super variegated thread. I picked something that was a little more subtle. I used Colonial Cotton. Of course, I had like 4 dye lots of Colonial Copper, but this wasn't as variegated as some of the other ones I was looking at. So just to make extra sure it didn't look stripy, I stitched the pumpkin in a circle. And it actually, I've seen other people do that where they stitch the outside and then all they have to do is fill in. This was easy to do in a circle, and then I just kind of fudged it when I went around to the center, and I was happy with the way it turned out. Then for the black, I feel like I didn't want to just choose black right away. Maybe I wanted to choose my frame first because there's so many different blacks. But if you twisted my arm right now, I think I decided on Black Coffee because it is another classic Colorworks, and you've heard me say before that I think sometimes a color palette is it just works really well when you use colors from the same company. It doesn't always. Sometimes you need a different shade of something. But anyway, I looked at a bunch of blacks and I decided on Black Coffee. And then I did look at a few frames, but I'm going to look at my stash at home and see what I might have in a ready-made before I decide on that. Okay, so I guess I'll put that behind me. Don't need that anymore. And then, so you've heard me also say before, because you know I repeat myself, that sometimes stitching a whip is like eating leftovers. yeah, it was really great, the first night, but now you're getting kind of tired of it. Well, I've decided, a light bulb just went off the other day. It was our anniversary last Tuesday, I guess, a week ago Tuesday. And my husband doesn't just save a box of chocolates for special occasions. Sometimes he buys them because they're on sale, because that's just the kind of man he is. But one of our local stores always has Russell Stover on an end cap, like right by the registers, and it's often on sale. And he knows I like caramels and nuts, and I would love this to be all dark chocolate, but this is one of my favorite collections that he buys for me. Anyway, I was looking at it that day, choosing which three I was going to allow myself to eat for dessert that night. And I thought, these whips, especially the little ones, they should be like opening up a box of chocolates. And you're really excited for which one you're going to choose to stitch on that night. So it kind of gave me a different perspective, a different outlook on it. And I'm going to try to think of my whips as choices in a box of delicious chocolates. So this is the whip I chose. I chose it because it's seasonal, and because this was one of my freebie Februaries from this year. It's by Stone Street Stitchworks, and it's called Thank Wool. And because it's free, I don't have any problem showing you the chart. But what I really wanted to show you was the color version, because it looks like wool. It's just so interesting. So I can't wait to go through my stack of wool and find out, what I could do with it as far as the finish goes. So okay, you're going to notice a lot of tails, a lot of tails showing through, and tails on the front, because it's a complicated design, and I wanted to be able to quickly fix a mistake if I found that I had miscounted. So the first time I showed this, I had the rusty color and then the lighter brown. And what I added one night this week is the very dark brown. So it's in the turkey's head and neck and part of the body. And then I finished that plaid with the very dark brown. And I think this probably will get finished by Thanksgiving. Maybe not fully finished, but I feel like I have the hard part done because I have the outline figured out and I didn't make any mistakes. And I think the fill-in, will be easy. So I'm excited about that. This is on a R&R, one of their older, the stiffer fabric, but one of their older coffee dyes. So I just got it from my stash. It's been discontinued. And then because I just couldn't stand it, because I sold all of these so quickly. I know I should have doubled my order, and then it didn't come back in quickly from a distributor. And I had just been waiting for this. I was going to start Honeybee Quaker, but I decided no, it was September at the time, and I thought, no, I have to do this one first. So I'm doing Autumn Quaker, and it's done with pumpkin pie from Color and Cotton. And I decided it wasn't available to shops at the time to order. So I decided I wanted to use something that I already had available to me, and that would come in quickly, and I wouldn't have to wait 6 months for my order. So I looked through all of my Belle Soie from Classic Colorworks that I had in the store. Look how many pretty colors there are. Just depends on whether you want a brighter orange or more of a harvesty color or something with a little more brown in it. But I looked at all the colors, and I thought this actually looked very similar to the front cover of the chart. So this is Autumn Breeze. And in one night, I stitched one of the motifs, and I love it. It's on 25 count antique white Lugana with 2 strands. And I had taken home a few other fabrics. I wanted to use 2 strands because it is a 5-yard 12 ply silk. So I knew there'd be plenty of thread and I didn't need to skimp on it. And I thought I'm going to do something where I can use 2 strands and let the color really shine. And so I took home this fabric and then a couple other 28 Luganas and Joblins in like beiges. And I laid them all out and I let my husband see the thread on each fabric. And I said, which one should I do? And I tried not to sway him. And I kind of did have my 1, 2, 3 choice picked out maybe, but I could, probably any of them would have looked good. But this is what he chose. And I was actually kind of happy because this one was 25. And it just, when you're tired at night, when you get a late start on your stitching, or if you're in the car or you're in a situation where the lighting's not that great, 25 count is just so easy to work on. And the other thing I've noticed, since we just had that needlework show recently, and I know that the judges look for twisted threads, there's something about the 25 that you don't see your threads twisting as much. They're just easier to handle. And I've done 2 strands on 28 recently, and I felt like I had to go through and either fuss with it or always railroad. And I don't even railroad on 25 count. I just think there's a better opportunity for it to lay straight because it's going across a bigger area. Do you know, does that make any sense? Do you know what I'm talking about? Anyway, I'm really pleased with this, and I know I will keep working on this too. So those were my whips. Then I'm going to show you some new fabric just to get it off the pile here. It's about time Zweigart released a 36 count even weave. So this is Modena, I guess is how you pronounce it. And it's white. So, you know, not super exciting, but it could be dyed. And I know you might need to use different methods or different formulas if you're doing an even weave, because linen and cotton take dye differently than the polyester rayon blends. But I think it would be fun to try to dye on something. So anyway, we have a yard of that. And then we got, this is not a new color. We just haven't had it in a while. And I snagged one from Hoffman Distributing. So this is R&R Reproductions 40 count Ligonier Latte. And that is the DMC 3782 that I think represents it well. And this is 119 a yard. So it could be cut in quarters. And if somebody wants a quarter, I usually just cut 1 quarter and leave the rest intact in case somebody needs a bigger piece. But what I mean is it can be cut in, it can be cut into standard sizes, or it can be custom cut for your specific project. That's that. All right, then we have some new charts. And let me just I'm going to do this first because this was the auto that came from Heart and Hand, and then I'll do the rest. So they have another in their imprint series for Christmas. Very sweet, looks retro. I could see you doing this in like a hot pink and an aqua, like some people are doing the modern contemporary looking Christmas. But that's really cute. Let's see, where am I going to put these? Okay, I'll put them upside down right here. Doodles Thanksgiving. I swear this is going to be the next one I do after Autumn Quaker. But don't tell Crochet A Go-Go because I said I was going to do her turkey next. But I've been waiting for this one. And look, it's a blue pumpkin, so I have to. Maybe this will go in this display. So I'm super motivated to do this because I was waiting for the auto to come, and I love everything about it. I love the colors. I love the quirky turkey. I love the pumpkin pie. So anyway, that's the Thanksgiving Doodles. And then this is a re-release, In Search of the Perfect Pumpkin. She said this is back by popular demand. So there's a number of charts in the In Search of the Perfect series. And this would be so much fun to do in your favorite shades of pumpkin. All right, then these are in alphabetical order by designer. This is Artful Offerings Salt Box Sunflowers sampler. Is that what it is? Whatever, something like that. This is the company that I never know if I'm pronouncing correctly, Cuore e Battacuore Shabby Halloween Calendar. And I'm telling you, look at that little bee witch. I could see doing these as just little individual ornaments too, but it is awfully cute as a calendar. Witch Hazel by Lottie Da. Another one in the Petite series from Little House Needleworks. Pumpkins. Yeah, oh, Pumpkin Farm Petites it's called. I love that. And look, I could make sure that that color matched the other tealy color, and that could go in the grouping. I'm going to have a whole nother grouping by next year. Pumpkins Alight by Little Robin Designs. Now, some of these in here you probably have seen from other shops advertising Needlework Marketplace releases. I happen to get these from a distributor. Haunted Hootenanny by Praiseworthy Stitches. This is going to be a series. And then Annie Turner, the Proper Stitcher, released some charts, and I got a couple of them. Esmeralda's Blackbirds. Steampunk Penelope. And her partner, Percival. So cute. They'd probably be cute stitched on the same piece of fabric too. Then Fall Trio from Puntini Puntini. And Christmas Trio. Winter Stash from Scattered Seed Samplers. Two more from Stitches by Ethel, Vintage Bird, and Wintergreen. This is Sugar Maple Designs, which I think was a previous company. Oh yes, Southern Stitchers Co. Quaker Halloween Ditty. All right, hello from Liz Matthews. This is Boo. But before you buy this, check to see if you have the Punch Needle and Primitive Stitcher magazine from fall of 2022, because it was first released then. And I've had a lot of people interested in this. I don't have any more of those Punch Needle magazines, but you may already have it, so check that. Ninth Day of Christmas in her 12 Days series. The Pumpkin House. I love this with the two colors sewn together, and the color of the pumpkins, you know, kind of combines the piece into one cohesive design. This is one of the favorite ones that she's ever done. For me anyway. And then Kathy Barrick, Come On In. This is a fun one from her. I love that quirky lettering. Haunted, which has two different models where I think I don't know if these are all I think they're all the same motifs, just shown in a different format. And then 'Tis Near Halloween. That's almost full coverage, isn't it? I love the colors. Dreaming of Autumn Leaves from Rosewood Manor. And we have a couple mugs from Shannon Christine. Scaredy Cat. Spooky. Trick or Treat. And then a Halloween Party. Let's see. I don't know if this is, Susanna Machado design. And it's, I guess she just shortens it to, she shortens it to that. Anyway, I love this turkey. Maybe next year. Maybe next year. I am just a sucker for a handsome turkey. And Smile, Smile. So I like her designs because they're kind of contemporary. And then I don't think I showed this. I may not have had this the last time I showed random charts. I think I've just shown automatics and Needlework Marketplace stuff, but this is Gothic Halloween from Twin Peak Primitives. And they're all awesome. I like the bee, of course, but I also love that little pumpkin. Well, I like them all. So this will probably go in my stash sometime or other. All right, so those are all the charts, and then I have a vintage giveaway. So I didn't stitch it. I did buy it. It probably was a class. And, you know, I opened it up and now I really don't remember what it was called. I'm just calling it Autumn Scarecrow. But it is by Mosey and Me. And I had met them on numerous occasions at market. I took classes. They were driving through Ohio once, and we arranged for them to do a class for the club that we sponsored at the time. But the reason why I'm thinking it was a class is because there's a frame that goes with it. So I opened it up, everything's still in there. It had never been opened. I didn't do a very good job of tying the bow again. I did look to make sure that nothing had happened with the needle inserted into the fabric, but this has been in a controlled temperature house, not a basement or an attic or a garage. So luckily it withstood time. So I would like you to tell me if you've ever met a designer at a retreat or a local designer, if you've gone to a meet and greet at your local shop or randomly saw one in an airport. I don't know. Tell me if you've ever met a designer, and I'll put your name in that drawing. And then for the PhD chart from last week, I just wanted to read a couple of the comments because I had asked you what your favorite week's die works. Somebody in the comments asked me what mine was, and I didn't answer her yet. I maybe have to think about it. I'm looking at the wall right now, and I'll have to think about that. Nanette McDougall Dykes said, so my favorite thread is pumpkin, and it's also my nickname. That's awesome. And then Lisa Bobin said, I don't know why, but I seem to use a lot of caper. It's just a perfect brown when I need one. Caper has been a popular color since they dyed it the first time. I mean, it's an older color and it's really good. Designers use it a lot. My evil GSP, I need to know what that stands for. She said, my favorite Weeks Dye Works is Bing Cherry, but I always need Oscar. Yes, a lot of designers are using Oscar these days. And then Rhonda Batts says, everyone likes red, but my favorite is Carrot. Works for fall or spring stitching. And yes, Turkish red and Lancaster red were mentioned quite a few times, so she's right about that. Everybody likes red. And then Schnitzel Stitches, I love her name. I know this is lame, she says, but my favorite color is probably mascara. I use it a lot, but I stitch a lot of Halloween. And people say, oh, I'm not going to buy mascara because it's just black. It's not. I just put a skein of mascara next to black, and it is not. It's not solid black. It's really a pretty, subtle combination of black shades, and it's awesome. So whoever you are, Schnitzel Stitches, your name was chosen by the random number generator, and you're going to get PhD, so you can get the 2 skeins of Concord, you can get 2 more skeins of mascara, or you can pick any other 2 skeins of floss, and email me your real name and your mailing address, and I'll get that out to you next week sometime. Okay, I think that's everything on my list. Thanks for hanging out with me tonight. You will not see me next week, but you can watch the video of the Medina Needle Art Show. So I'll put that up sometime on Sunday, maybe after 5 when the shop closes. It'll be the first full weekend of our Tour to Stitch. So maybe I won't have time to do it until after 5, but you actually have 2 weeks then to try to get the Mosey and Me Scarecrow kit. And remember that it's for US Stitchers only. I'm sorry, it's just me with a little shop, and so we're just gonna keep it that way for now. And okay, have a great October, and I will see you in 2 weeks. Bye-bye.